Alright, Tony, I have your 20 or your traffic advisors finished up. I won't go over real quick what I've done to these, give you an idea of what's going on when you get them, so you know how to hook them up. With asking for something like this, I assume you know a little bit about what you're doing, so I won't make it very basic, but at least give you the full idea of what you need to do with these once you get them. Again, you wanted yellow LEDs installed, so to have yellow LEDs and have about 16 inches of wire on here. There's 4 separate wires. You'll see that they're bundled together a little bit with a couple of pieces of heat shrink tubing, actually 4 pieces, about 5 inches up the wires, and then they're loose from there. That'll be so you can mount this where you want it, and then run your wires where you want those, and then trim those to the length you want when you go to hook them up. So on the ends here, if you look, you're going to have 2 black wires, a red wire, and a blue wire. When you get ready to hook these up, like I said, you can cut them whatever length you want. Like I said, I just leave them this long so it's easier for you to install it to where you want them. And give enough wire so you don't have to, I'd rather people have to cut wire off than add wire to it. So either one of the black wires and a blue wire you'll take and hook to the switch. The switch is, I'm going to send just a small push button switch with 2 leads on it. And you'll just solder one black wire, either black wire, it doesn't matter. Black wire to one pin and blue wire to the other. Make sure your wires aren't touching in between there, because if you do, it's going to make the traffic advisor act silly because it thinks you're pressing the button the whole time. And on the other end, you'll have another, obviously not the other end, but the other 2 wires, like I said, are a red and a black. You'll hook those to your positive and negative lead of your battery. As you can see, I've been doing a little bit of painting on a car, actually taking some painted decals off, so got some colors on my fingers here, but pay no attention to that. But anyway, it's to hook to your battery. So what I've done, these actually run on 4.5 volts, but I'm sure you're going to use 9 volts. So I'll give you a resistor for each one of them too. So it'll run off 9 volts, and you can actually run it all the way up to 12. So I went ahead with this one, and of course the same LEDs, and of course you can mount this to the right or the left, it doesn't really matter. Set them in there, wired the same way, wired shrink wrap up a little bit up the length of the wires, and at the end of this you can see I've soldered one of the black wires to the switch along with one of the blue wires, and then the resistor soldered to the red wire. That's just to keep from, if you don't use this resistor on there and hook it up to anything over 5 or 6 volts, it's probably going to blow the circuit board, and it's going to ruin the whole thing. So you want to make sure you use that resistor if you're using a 9 volt battery. So I'll go ahead and hook power to this one here. Try to do this and hook that up. And when you turn your power on, you're going to get your patterns will start. Let me grab the switch. Again, my camera's a little bit slow reacting, so it's going to look like sometimes that 2 of the LEDs are on, but actually it's just 1 LED at a time. And then you'll take, if I can hold my finger on the wires better, each press of the switch. Try this again, I'm having problems here. Alright, each press of the switch will give you a different pattern. So when they first come on, it'll run through all the different patterns automatically. Hold it a little bit better. If I do that, and my finger will come off the wire again. Press it once, it'll lock in a different pattern. And the third press will actually turn all the way off. So again, cycle through the patterns automatically. Just a directional pattern, one side to the other. Simultaneous flash. And then a right to left. Again, those 2 LEDs, they actually trail each other. Like I said, I don't know why it looks like sometimes that they're 2 of them lighted up at a time. Like I said, again, this is my cheap camera, not picking it up right. So that's how you want to do that. So just go ahead and mount your traffic advisor where you want it, and then you'll just take your wires and run them wherever you want, cut them the length, and then make sure you solder your resistor onto your red wire before you hook it to the power. If not, like I said, it will mess up the circuit board and mess up your traffic advisor altogether. So what I will send to you are 2 of the traffic advisors with wires, like so. I'll put in at least 2 resistors. I might add a couple more just, you know, in case you mess a lead up or something. Anyway, you can't really overheat these when you solder them. So, but if I'll just throw a couple extras in there just in case something happens where you break a lead off or something. You don't have to look for one resistor to fix that problem with. So I'll send you a couple of those, and then also I'll probably send you 2 or 3, or at least 2, but 3 or 4 of the switches ready to go to solder that. Now, after watching the video, if you decide that you want me to cut these wires to a specific length, then I'll do that, and I'll go ahead and solder your switch and resistor on there for you. It's going to make it more difficult to install, though. But just tell me how long you want your wires going to the switch and how long you want your wires going to the power, and I will trim those and solder those for you. Otherwise, you will get it shipped just like this. Traffic advisor with wires, switches, resistors, and everything else. I assume you have 9-volt battery connectors. If you do not, let me know, and I will add a couple of those in there as well. So thanks again for the order, and you've already paid for these, so I'll get these shipped out as soon as possible, Monday, I guess. So thank you very much.